All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us. Those of you that do not know who I am, my name is Tommy Dutcher. I am the area sales manager for California Title. Andrew wanted me to share my Title Advantage system with you guys. So we're going to cover a handful of things today. We're going to cover how to check title, how to pull up a property profile, a tax sheet, where you can go to do farming. We're going to touch base on net sheets. And we're also going to touch base on a tool that I have that I hope you capture some leads when you are advertising and things like that. So to start, how do you get access to Title Advantage? You're going to go to tommyfortitle.com, as you see on the screen, and you will register. So in the bottom left-hand corner of that screen, you will see a sign up. You will register there and fill out the form. The form comes to me. I'll approve it. And then after you register there, you will go to your mobile app, and you're going to search in your app store CTC Mobile. Okay, just like you see on the screen, you'll be looking for the CTC Mobile app that has the California Title logo in it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Download that. It'll be the same login, same password. It is case sensitive. So if you use caps or lowercase, you will need to make sure that that is accurate when you go to log in. Once you're logged in, it'll keep you logged in. Okay. Once you have that, you'll have access. Once I get the opportunity to go in and approve you and give you access to all the features, you will be good to go. Okay. So don't try and go there, register, and then think you could just immediately go and start searching. It'll probably allow you to search momentarily, but you will be told that, you don't have any credits yet, things like that. I'll have to go in and approve it. All right. So that is the first step. Now I will end that and go into Title Advantage as a whole real quick. Okay. So once, if I can get in there. Okay. Once you log in, this is what you're going to see. And let me kind of close this screen out a little bit. Once you log in, you'll go there, log into the system. And when you log in, this is what you see. When you log in on your mobile, it's going to look very similar. You're going to have the same 5 icons. Okay. You can do about 80% of most searches and things like that on your mobile device. But there is about 20% of the things that you can only do on the actual website. It just comes down to the amount of data and stuff that is needed to do that. Okay. In the properties tab here is where you're going to search all your property data. Okay. So if you go there, it will store your last 15 properties that you search. So you can easily go back and search them. You will also see the little icon in it. So for instance, this one has 3. FP is a full property profile. NS is a net sheet. PT is a property tax report. So it'll tell you what you've pulled. Okay.
Tommy, there's
Yes.
something wrong with the screen. It's kind of, I don't know, at an angle.
At an
Or
angle?
at least, well, from what I'm seeing, it's as if you're returning the page, but it's not, I don't think we're on the right page or what we're seeing.
Okay, let me
I think it froze, Tommy.
did it? Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's go back. I'll stop sharing and then I'll reshare real quick. See my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I'll start from the beginning. When you log in, this is what you see. Properties, where you do all your property searches. We're going to start in that tab. Up here at the top, you'll see new properties. When you first log in, you're not going to see any of these boxes down here. These are properties will be there. The last 15 searches that you do will stay there, okay? And so you'll search new property. It gives you multiple options. It's going to default to address. When you put in the address, you just need the house number and the street name and or zip code or county. You don't need to put in city. Unit, if it's a condo or has a space, you'll have to put that in. Okay. I always leave out the suffix. So street, avenue, drive, I leave that out for a reason. County records is all over the place. Sometimes they spell out street, sometimes they abbreviate it. So if you abbreviate it when it's supposed to be spelled out, it won't come up. If you leave it out completely, it will come up. Okay. The other thing is sometimes people think, I'm pretty sure I know what the street, how to spell the street name. And then it says, can't find it. If you just put in the house number and leave the street completely out, for instance, if I go there and put in like 606 and say I put in 92506, okay, and I search that, it's going to come up with all houses in that zip code that have a house number of 606, okay? Sometimes there will be a lot of them. Sometimes there will be very few of them. It just depends. Okay. But if you don't know how to spell the street, you don't even have to put it in. You can search it just by house number. And so this one only had one. Of course, it was mine. So you could search it that way. The other way to search is by APN number. You'll need the APN number. You will input the APN number with the dashes, and you'll need either the zip code or the county. You don't have to worry about the city. You could search it by owner's name. You could put in first name, last name, and again, zip code or county. Those will pretty much be the way that you do it. Why would you use owner's name? I may want to research the owner of somebody I'm going to sit down with in a listing presentation to see if they own any other property in the county, right? So I'll put in their first and last name, and then I'll put in, say, Riverside County or San Diego County, et cetera. See if they own any other properties. And if it's held in a trust, what I do is I put, like I'll try the last name as the first name and then put trust as the last name, or something like that, and see what pops up. Okay. And I'm going to show you a couple other things as well when you're searching in properties. So for instance, I'll pull up this last property that I searched right here. And you'll see that there are multiple options here. So I have view property profile. It'll say view because I've already pulled it. I can create a property tax report next. So if you do the property tax report, you'll want to put in what the sales price is going to be. Okay. And then create it. It will do the calculation for you. So it'll give you the current tax amount right up here. And then it will give you the estimated tax amount right here. And that's based on the sales price that you put in. It'll tell you what the new tax amount will be yearly for that property. It'll tell you what the estimated monthly is. It'll tell you what the new tax rate will be at that sales price. It will also give you the estimated supplemental taxes that client or the buyer of this property is going to get depending on what month they close. So if they close in June, that's what their supplemental bill is going to be. If they close in July, it'll be this. And if they close in August, it'll be that. Okay. So we give you about 90 days out. And so because taxes only update once a year, July 1st, there will be a supplemental adjustment to the new sales price. Okay. So it's always nice to be able to give them a heads up. Hey, you're going to get a supplemental bill. As soon as you close, you're going to be paying your impounds, in most cases, if you have a loan on the property, to your mortgage company. You should have enough in your impound to cover that. So when you get that bill, reach out to your mortgage company. If they haven't already adjusted and sent you a refund check because you had overpaid, then you can see if they can pay it. Okay. And then as you go down into special assessments, anything in red is a special assessment. It'll be a CFD or a Melrose of some sort. Most of those will eventually expire. Some of them are permanent and ongoing. but it will tell you what part of that tax bill is a special assessment. Okay. When you go to share these, please do not email the report straight from my system. Yes, we have that function. Why? Because you may be on your mobile device and it may not be possible for you to save it as a PDF, right? If you email it, just by clicking email report, it will open up in your email as a link in the body of your email. Some emails may register that as spam, okay? If you click share, it'll give you an option to generate a PDF, okay? It will then download that PDF and you can attach the PDF as an attachment. Plus, when you use the share button, instead of, some people go, oh, I'll just do print and then save it as a PDF. If you do that, it may not compress the file and the file may be too large to email. It may be over 25 megabytes, depending on how big the file is that you're downloading. Okay. If it's a property profile and there's a lot of information in the property profile, it could be too big. So if you use the share button for everything, it will compress the file to a very small format. It's usually less than 2 megabytes. And then you can then attach that and it looks more professional. Okay. So now let's show you how to check title. Okay. Let me go back and see if I have one that I haven't pulled a proper text sheet. So I'll use this one right here. So you'll go in, you'll input the address. It'll come up like so. You're going to create a property profile. It gives you two options: quick profile, full profile. Why would you use a quick profile? If all you were looking for is APN numbers, track numbers, things like that for the MLS, great. Quick profile is perfect for you. In most cases, you're going to pull a full profile. Full profile is going to give you the aerial map, the plot map, the property history, which is where you will find how they're holding title. Okay. When you pull that up, you will have down the left-hand side a menu. On your mobile device, there will be a menu drop down. And I apologize, it takes a little bit longer while on Zoom and in this office when people are using the internet. So just bear with it. Come on. Hoping it didn't freeze. We'll just use this profile. Okay. Down the left-hand side, you'll have the ability to jump to each section. You'll get your sales comparables, and you will see that these sales comparables, they're going to start the closest to the property and work its way outward. Okay. So that's the order that they're in. You'll see this little check mark on the upper right-hand corner of each of the properties, right? As you scroll down, you will get a map at the end of this. So we try and give you 15 to 20 comps, okay? So you know your property and your area better than anybody. The pin is where the subject property is. Let's say that you know that items 7 and 8 here are not good comps. Those are, bigger areas, or it's a different track or what have you. And you're like, it's going to skew my comps. All you have to do is come up to 7 and 8 as they're numbered, uncheck them, go up to the top of your comps and click update comp. Okay. That will remove them from the comp list. You will see that they've been removed now. They're no longer in the map. And then that won't skew your high, low, and average for the comp. Okay. So it's interactive. Once you save it, it will save. So when you go back to it, it'll be the way that you saved it. Okay. Nearby homeowners, it's the 25 closest nearby homeowners. And this is already formatted to the most common label size. So you can print this onto a label format and it'd print, or you can send it to me and we could print it for you and send it to you. So if you wanted to send something out just to the closest 25 homes, you can. The plot map is in here. Sometimes it is small and unviewable. This one's actually in pretty viewable condition, But if you click on view larger image right here, it'll open in a separate window as a high def version of it. Okay. You'll get an aerial and a street view of the property. Those are pulled from Google Maps. And then you get the property history. This one is not necessarily the best one to use as it was a new home that was built in 21. They just bought it. So there's not a lot of history there. But if I go back to pull a different one, let's say this one, and I go to property history, you'll see it goes most recent back. Okay. Typically, you could go back to about 1992 in Southern California. That's about the time we started putting things online. But the 90s are going to be hit and miss. It depends on the county. And it depends if they've had any other transactions. So if they purchased a home, say in 92, and there were no other transactions that happened since then, you probably won't find that 1992 deed online. Okay. We would have to request it because it's stored on microfiche in the counties. Okay. But you could usually find the data you need. So again, most recent. And if I was going to this particular property right here, and I wanted to find the current deed of who's on title and how they hold title, I would scroll down until I look for transaction type here. Okay. And I'm looking for a sale. So here's the last sale. You see it was transferred from this seller to this buyer. It was transferred on this date right here. And I look for this right here, a sale. Okay. So if I click on view document right here, it's going to pull up that deed. Now, if there was a quit claim after that one, you would see a sale for a quit claim as well. Okay. Then I come down on the grant deed and I'm looking for hereby grants to, and then what it's listed right here. So this person is holding as a single man. And a lot of times, like I looked for one earlier today during the meeting, and I was checking because one of the spouses had passed away. So I wanted to see how they were holding title. I wanted to make sure that they were holding title in one of three ways, either in a trust, as joint tenants, or as community property with rights of survivorship, right? Because those are the only three ways that are going to keep that property out of probate for one of the individuals on title passing, right? And I want to know who the signer is before I go meet with that client, right? So if you're going to go meet with somebody, you want to know who's my signer, who's my authority here, right? Are two people, three people, multiple people on title? Is it one individual? Is the individual married? Is the individual not? Is it held in a trust? That's obviously going to hinder how I write my contract, right? So I always want to check title to make sure that I am speaking to the individual. The other reason is somebody may live at the house but not own it. And they're calling you in because they're like, oh, I'm going to call an agent and see what this house is worth because the owner is saying that they'll sell it to me for this price, but I want to know what it's worth. Why are you wasting your time with that, right? So you want to make sure if Shirley calls you and you check title and it's Joshua, you got to be asking the question before you waste your time, right?
What about signing? Husband signs for the wife. She says it's okay. I don't like that.
Okay, so the question came in from inside the office. It said, what if it's the wife signing for the husband or something like that? In some cases, a wife or a husband would have the authority to sign certain things, okay? i.e., let's say that they had a power of attorney or they had some type of legal document that shows that they could sign the spouse's name. That holds true for certain things, meaning they could sign their name for a check or they can sign their name at the bank or things like that. It doesn't necessarily hold true when it comes to real property, right? So, one, from a title perspective, when we look at somebody who is not on title signing for somebody who is on title, we're going to ask questions, okay? One, what gives them the authority to do that? Oh, I have a power of attorney. Great. Not all power of attorneys are created equal. Some power of attorneys don't give you the ability to sign for real property, but they give you the ability to manage finances, okay? Because somebody may be overseas or something like that. Nevertheless, the second question the title's going to ask is, why? Why are you signing for them? Are they incapacitated? Are they out of the country? Are they this? Is there a way that they can sign for themselves? Because we're going to always prefer that. But you're going to have to go through the hoops of proving why you have the authority to sign on their behalf. And in most cases, 8 times out of 10, we find they don't. Okay. When it pertains to real property. But this is how you're going to check title. Now, the reason this training came up was because Andrew and the team started a probate category of generating probate leads. And we all know that usually what causes a probate is a death, right? But if you're going to try and go after the individuals to try and get a hold of somebody that may be in charge of the probate or may have information on the probate, there are some companies out there that will pull it back. And when the probate gets filed with the courts, they know who that individual is, right? And in some cases, the name, the email, the phone number comes in. In some cases, it doesn't, right? In some cases, you're like, I just found this house. It's in probate. I don't have any information on the house. So how do you find that information, right? One way of doing it is check who's on title, and then searching that name in companies like truepeoplesearch.com or that'sthem.com. Those are the 2 most common. The way that I search in those sites is I don't search the name. I search the address, because I know if I search by address and I find the name, I know it is the actual person, and there may be multiple Joshua Mills in the same county, right? So I search by address. So I do a reverse lookup by address. I put the property address in. Then I look for the name. I put the 2 and 2 together and know it's accurate. Then what I do is scroll down a little further and look at possible relatives, right? That would be my first go-to if I know that the person on title is deceased, would be call the relatives, right? A lot of times you'll find a spouse. The spouse could already be deceased. A lot of times you find possible daughter, possible son. So then I start with those. And in most cases, you could usually get a hold of somebody that goes, yeah, it's being handled by this attorney, or it's being handled by my cousin or my sister or my brother, right? That would be doing the research yourself. Yes. TruePeopleSearch.com, and that's THATS, them. So TruePeopleSearch.com, that's them.com. Yeah. Okay. Those are the 2 most common. I tend to go to True People Search first. There are some times where I do a lookup, nothing comes back. I go into that's them, I get a hit, and vice versa. So I use them both, but I always do a reverse lookup by address and then look for the name under that address, because it'll pull back any names that were ever associated with that address. And then I know when I find that name, I know it is accurate. Okay. The nice thing about True People Search versus That's Them, True People Search actually tells you the month and year of the phone number the last time the phone number was pinged. Okay. Where That's Them doesn't. So a lot of times 6 numbers come back, but some of them are from like years ago. And then you have one that says April 2025. And I go, okay, well, I'm just going to call that number, right? And it tells you if it's a mobile number or if it's a landline, which is kind of convenient. Okay. So that's how you're going to check who's on title and how they're holding title. Now, this one right here, Joshua Mills as a single man, right? So if Joshua were to pass, it's an instant probate, right? If it was Joshua Mills and Shirley Mills, husband and wife, and it doesn't specify how they hold title, it automatically reverts to tenants in common. Okay. It must say joint tenants, or it must say community property rights survivorship. Otherwise, it is classified as tenants in common, which means one side passes, that side goes to probate. Okay. Even if it's husband and wife, the husband's going to have to do a minor probate because they didn't specify how they were holding title. And I tell you this because you get questions from your clients when they're filling out forms from escrow going, how am I supposed to hold title? Okay. I do have a 1-page sheet. Reach out to me. I can send it to you that lists all the ways of holding title. And it tells you based on, if husband and wife, here's the most common, right? So that you're not the one directing them and then going, well, you told me to do this, right? So
Most commonly named husband and wife.
husband and wife is community property rights survivorship. And the reason why is because it has advantages, tax advantages, if you hold it that way before you move it into a trust. Okay. I learned that from doing some notaries with different attorneys that do trusts. And every single time they held as joint tenants, they always transferred to community property rights survivorship first and then transferred into the trust. What that tax advantage is, I don't know. I'm not a tax person, but my understanding is there is a tax advantage by holding it that way before it goes into a trust. As far as any advantages, if you're currently holding that and one passes, there's not. Okay. Both of them, you supply the death certificate and it just reverts into the other person. Okay. Okay, so that is property profile, that is tax sheet, that is how to check title and find out who is currently holding title and how they're holding title. Now let's roll into farms. No, let's roll into net sheets first, okay? When you click on net advantage on the left-hand column there, that is where my net sheets are. So you can actually do a buyer net sheet, you can do a seller net sheet. We've done it as a quick net sheet, so you'll always be going in there to make some adjustments. And I'm going to show you how that works. The other thing is right down here where it says net advantage settings at the bottom. If you click on that, okay, the net sheet will automatically just populate at a tax rate of 1.25, which is a standard low tax rate. I always pull a property tax report first to find out exactly what the property tax rate will be or is so that I could plug that in and it'll be accurate. Okay. The length of the property profile, we're anticipating a 45-day close from the date you pull this net sheet. If you want a 30-day estimated out to 30 days, you can change that, but we leave it at 45 because at the time you're doing a net sheet, you're probably not already listed or in escrow. You're usually doing it when you're going for the listing appointment, things like that. So we do 45 days, gives you a couple weeks to get it, done and potentially, moving forward. And then in there, it says, if closed by this date, here's what it looks like, right? We set a buyer agent fee at 3 and 3. Now you could go in here and say, I'm going to set the buyer side at 2% right now, and I'm going to leave mine at 3. And it is going to be paid by the seller or what have you. And this is just standard. You can always adjust it while you're in there. And then edit it. And then it will edit it. Then I can come down and I can add in certain standard fees, i.e. on the team, there's a $495 charge for a transaction coordinator, okay? And they usually push that onto the client, right? So that's usually in your net sheets when I do them. So I could go in and just make sure it's there all the time so that when I pull it up, the standard is already there. Other things that you'll always usually do is a natural hazard disclosure because it protects you and it protects your client. And you can plug that in. The loan tie-in fees, things like that, it pertains to certain things. Refinances, stuff like that. And I have a refinance portion in here. So not all this stuff pertains to you, but you can adjust your stuff in here, okay? And then just click save. And at the bottom, you just click save. And then when you go and you do a quick net sheet for seller, it opens up report name. I always use the client's name. So, Mr. Smith, whatever it is, sale price, first mortgage balance. A lot of times you don't know what the first mortgage balance payoff is. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to calculate that. So if you pull the property profile first before you do the net sheet, and you pull the tax sheet first before you pull the net sheet, and then when you open up, say right here, I've pulled a property profile and a property tax report here, and I go back into the property here, and I go over and I do net sheet from here. It's going to do two things. One, it's going to pull the property data in, so I don't have to plug in the address. So that's always nice. And two, I'll be able to go back to the property profile and view a couple things. So in the property profile, I'm going to go down to property history, and I'm going to look for the mortgage right here. Okay. Sometimes the mortgage, it'll tell you in here what the initial mortgage amount was, the first mortgage amount. This one doesn't. So I will view the document and I'm looking for the total mortgage when it started and the month and the year in which it was established. Okay. So month and year right here, June 25th, 2021. So June of 2021. That's when the mortgage was established. Okay. And I'm going to scroll down until I find the mortgage right here. It was $482,915. $482,915. Okay. $482,915. So when I come back to this and I go net sheet and I do seller net sheet, continue, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do first mortgage balance. I don't know. I'm going to calculate it. I'm going to put 419,000. What was it? Where was it? Right here. 482,915. Okay. So I'm going to put calculate 482,915. And it was June of 2021. It'll automatically calculate what the average daily interest rate was for that month. Okay. And then I'm going to click continue and it'll put in what my payoff is. Now, I can tell you I've done this 1,000 times. It will be within $1,000 as long as they're up to date on their mortgage and they haven't like prepaid down principal or they didn't like buy the rate down. Well, at 2.98%, I doubt they bought the rate down. Right?
Did they tell you it was approximately 439,000?
The system does the calculation based on the initial loan amount and the interest rate for that month, the average interest rate for that month, based on when it closed and where we are today. Okay. I'll tell you that right there, if you check with this client, is probably within $1,000 of what the payoff will be. Okay. So I go in, I do that property report name. I have the name right here. So I'm just going to basically copy that right there and plug it in. The sales price, I'm going to put 630 and I'm going to continue. Now it instantly does a net sheet. This is not the final net sheet. This is a quick net sheet, right? We're going to go in and plug in some things. One, in here right now, it's estimating 2% for buyer and 3% for the seller side in commission. The interest rate is calculated at 1.25%. So I'm going to go and I'm going to look at the tax sheet that we did. If I can find it again, right here. I'm going to say the tax rate is 1.76. So I'm going to go back to this and at the top, it says edit. Okay. I'm going to click on edit. It opens up. I'm going to go into right here and I'm going to put 1.76. And then I'm going to scroll down. It'll do all the calculations. You're able to change all these. So if, say, the buyer was coming in as an investor and he was going to pick up closing costs on both sides, you could change it to buyer for buyer picking it up. But let's say we're only offering 1.5% on this to the buy side for whatever reason. I can change that right there. And then when I click next, these are set fees, right? So let's say home warranty on this property is going to be $850. I'll change that. I have a natural hazard pest. Pest wasn't negotiated yet, so I'll take that out. HOA, the property doesn't have an HOA, so I'll take that out. And the HOA is the transfer fee, right? The average is $250 to $350. I've seen them as high as $4,500. I've seen them as low as $100. Just depends. So you just let them know it is an estimated amount. We won't know until we contact them, etc. Processing and handling fee, leave that in because there's going to be that on the escrow side. And the wire fee, there's typically going to be at least one wire fee. I would probably even change that to $35 now. Okay. And then the notary fee for the sell side, if escrow were to send somebody out, it's typically on average $150. If you know that they're capable of getting their own stuff notarized, you could remove that as well, or just leave it in and let them know that that could go away if they handle it themselves. Now, what's not in here? Transaction coordinator, right? So up here, add from cost list, there's a list of stuff here, right? Well, we do have transaction coordinator in there. If it wasn't there, you could just type in whatever you want it to say right here and click add. Okay. So if I go down and just pick transaction coordinator, click add, it pops in. I go in and put 495. I click view report. I now have an accurate report that mimics all the data I wanted it to have in there. Okay. There was a section in there to give, say, buyer concessions. If the buyer was asking for closing costs, things like that, you could add that in as well. I left it blank. Now, the other thing is you'll see it's branded to me right here. You could take me out, just click that little X. Okay. If you want it branded to yourself, you want your profiles branded to yourself, you want your tax sheets branded to yourself, you want your net sheets and things like that. We offer the capability of doing that. Okay. And I will show you where that's at. If you go home, right here where your name is, if you go to settings, you'll see right here, it says premium status active for me, right? If you want to brand yourself, you can go premium. There is a fee for us to be legal with the SB 133, but the fee is $9.25 for the year. Okay. So we were able to make it as cheap as we can based on competitive things you would have to pay for out there. And then it'll allow you to put your logo in, your picture in, your information in, and things will get branded to you. Okay. Again, not something you have to do, but if you are one that does a lot of documentation like that for your client and you would like it branded to yourself, you have the capability of doing that. Okay. Okay. Property profile, tax sheets, net sheets. Let's talk farming. You click on farming here. I would say I've seen every single title program out there in existence to this day. I've yet to find something that even competes with this farm for a couple reasons. There are a couple farm things out there that will update themselves. Ours does as well, meaning it'll update in real time. Real time is about a 2-week lag on average, depending on the county. Riverside County is 9 days. San Diego County is about 11 days. LA County is 13 days right now. Before it's like if it closed today, it's not going to be in public record for that amount of days. Okay. But it'll be as updated as it potentially can be for you the next time you go and pull that farm. You don't have to go and regenerate it. Okay. You do it once and you know that when you go and export it, it's going to be accurate for you. We can store the farms here for you. And the walking farm, you'll probably never use that on the computer. It's easier to pull up on your mobile device. Literally, just drive to any community you want, stand on the corner, go to walking farm, pull up the map, drag your finger across 2 blocks that you're going to walk and say, go. And it says, start at this house. The other thing with my walking farm in the mobile app is you don't need a pen and paper. You just need your phone and your business card, or your phone and your digital business card. Okay. Because it gives you the opportunity right in your phone to add a note. It will save the note. And then when you export that file, the notes will be there. Okay. And it'll time date stamp that note. It'll allow you to instantly pull up property profile on the property. It'll allow you to grade the property. So it starts as a neutral 3 and it grades between 1 and 5. 1, they slammed the door in your face, called you a 4-letter word, told you to get off their property. 5 is they want you to come back with a listing presentation, right? 3 is neutral. They may not have answered the door. They may have answered the door and they were polite to you. 4 is I may know somebody who is looking to buy or sell, or my brother-in-law and sister are looking to move to our community or something like that, right? So you can grade it and it'll color code it on the spreadsheet when you download it. Okay. So you no longer need a pad of paper and a pen and all these flyers and everything else. You know, when you go to do your walking, you can just literally do it in the app, makes it easy. Okay. Farm Focus allows you to take your general farm and narrow it down. Okay. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So if we go in and we pull a polygon farm, it will pinpoint where we're at. So we're right here. We're in the office. So let's say I want to farm this area right here. Okay. I will say draw polygon. It's very similar to how the MLS works when you use map function and click your perimeter around something. Okay. So I'll come in and say, okay, I'll drag it, and I just click and drag. Okay. And you go back to it and it highlights it. Same as MLS, right? I always go to filter right here, and I always put SFR only, single family residence only. Why? Because I don't want community stuff. I don't want any commercial stuff in there. I don't want vacant land in there. I just want the SFRs, and I'll click done. Then I say get count. Once I get the count, it's going to come back and tell me, well, I should have done a better property right there. Okay, let's try that. So I'll come back and say I have 264 properties. It tells me the turn rate in the last 12 months is 3.5%. Anything over 3 is decent, believe it or not. You would think like, oh, I want 10, 12. Good luck trying to find 10% right now in this market. 5, I would farm it all day long, 5% turn ratio. Okay. So just know 3.5 is not bad. It's 3.5% of 264 homes. Do the math. That's how many sold in the last 12 months. Okay. Now it says owner occupancy rate is 64%. Okay. I will name this farm test 88 because I don't know how many I have in there, and I can create that farm. Okay. It will create the farm. You'll see right here, test 88, 264 properties. I'm going to open that farm up. It's going to come back and tell me a couple things. Gives me my turn ratio, gives me my owner occupancy, tells me the average transfer price, tells me the average years owned. Okay. Now I may want to go, well, in this market's kind of weird. What was the turn ratio outside of the 12 months, right? Is it always around 3.5% in this neighborhood, or is it something else? Well, I could look at the turn history. It's going to give me the last 12 months, last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Okay. So it will tell me kind of what the trends have been for that exact farm. So you'll see 15 years ago, we were the same. 10 years ago, we were higher. 5 years ago, we were higher. Why? What happened 5 years ago? And what happened 10 years ago? COVID, the market crashed, right? And the market crashed, we really didn't really crawl out of it until like 14, right? So that's why those are a little bit higher. But ultimately, it looks like it's fairly steady between 3.5%, 4%. Okay. The other thing, I could view it as a list. I could view it on a map. I can export it as a CSV file or a PDF. I could share it. Okay. We did the turn history, or I could pull a market snapshot instantly for that exact farm. So why would I do that? Well, if I pulled the immediate neighborhood around a house that I'm going to go list potentially, and I want to show them what the market trends have been, I can instantly do this. Again, you would be branded in the middle here. If you brand, you can take me out completely. You'll see that it kind of, does that. You could zoom in on this right here a little bit more, right? You come down, it's interactive. If you hover over the last quarter, it tells you there were 3 homes that sold, the low, the average, the high. Quarter before, there were 2. Quarter before that, there were 2. Quarter before that, there were 2. That's the last 12 months. It tells me my running 12 months here. It tells me the prior 12 months here. 9 homes sold in the last 12 months. 7 homes sold the 12 months before that. So it's actually gotten better. Okay. Tells me my average sales price was currently is 582. The average sales price before that, the year prior, was 542. And it tells me what my average square footage was and is. Okay. This is a 1-pager. You could print this and add this as your presentation. Okay. Or click share, generate PDF, and you can send that out as well, or attach it to whatever you want, or you can print it. Okay. And then right now we have this farm opened up. If I click on farm focus, I can narrow that farm down, or I could build mini farms within that existing farm. So the farm opens up, my test 88 farm, 264 total records. I'm going to click on create new farm focus. It's going to open up in the map. And if you zoom in on this map a little bit, you will see that the ones that have an open circle are non-owner occupied. The ones that have a little hangman in them are owner occupied. So you can get a visual of those. And then I can come over on this right side and I can narrow down. So I could say, oh, I only want owner occupied. It will gray out all the non-owner occupied. I could save that farm as owner occupied only. There's a farm within a farm. I could say I only want absentee owners. Now I have all of my non-owner occupied as a mini farm. Okay. And then what I would do is I'd come down and I would save it and I would name it the same thing, test 88, and I would put non-owner occupied. Or I put test 88 owner occupied and save them. You can create as many farms within a farm as you want. The other thing that you could do is say, I want to look for absentee owners that live out of state. Well, I have 7. In 264 homes, I have 7 that live out of state. Right? I may want to send something directly to their mailing address because they may be tired of managing a rental when they don't live anywhere close to it. Okay. I could come up here and I could do a likely to sell. And I can tell you that right now, likely to sell takes into consideration about 5 things, but we have AI working in the background. And every time a house sells within a farm that we already have done, we're monitoring trends. And it'll take approximately 4 to 5 years for us to get to a point where our likely to sell is going to be more accurate and take into other potential things. But we're about 2 years into it right now. Right now, we're obviously looking at likely to sell. We're looking at the exact farm. We're looking at the exact properties and saying, you know, who hasn't refinanced in the last X amount of years? Who hasn't done this? We're looking at empty nesters, age groups, things like that. Okay. So I may look within my farm and say, I want a likely to sell. Well, it pulls up the top 10 instantly, but I can drop it down and say, okay, out of that 260 some, I want the top 100. And it'll gray out the other ones. And I can say, I want the top 100 that are only owner occupied, right? So you're going to want to do that backwards, but ultimately, if I did that and then I went back.
Tommy, can I ask you a quick question here?
Yeah.
I know that you have to pay for numbers technically through title to get them through title to stay with regulations, right? But if we buy the premium, which is $9, do we have to pay the 15 cents for a phone number or whatever the cost is per phone number as well?
It's old regulations. For the last about 4 or 5 months, I've been able to do numbers for you. So all you got to do
Oh,
is
awesome. Okay.
you pull your farm, send me your farm. I'll have my team pull the numbers for you.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you.
So you can narrow this down. You're looking something for your buyer. You want this exact neighborhood. You only want, you know, homes with pools, etc. Then let me take filters off real quick. So I got my 264. Say you're looking for a home just with a pool. It'll gray out everything that doesn't have a pool, right? So it narrowed it down just to a handful right there. 3 houses have a pool in that community. Why? Because a lot of them are townhomes and stuff. So you can mess around with this, but what I'm getting at is any other title company, you would have had to pull a farm and then you would have had to pull a separate farm just with those. Now you could pull your main farm. You could build 5 farms within that farm and you can have different things that you specifically target within that farm separately, right? That's what Farm Focus is for. All right. Now, when you go back to the farm, come on, you'll see that my original farms are here. My Farm Focuses are down here. Okay. So if I go into my Farm Focus and I say, okay, I want to export this, let it load real quick. And then click export, and it gives you the option for your CSV file. That's what most of your stuff is going to be in if you're going to like send it to a print house or something like that. So I can export it as a CSV. It's an Excel file, read-only Excel file, and then I can download that to my computer. Okay. And then labels, if you're one that prints your own labels, I can print labels for you as well. Just send me the farm and we'll have them sent out to you. So that's a little touch on farming. I'm not going to go any more into depth on that, but I will sit with anybody one-on-one and help you build your farms. Okay. Let's talk about lead gen. In more tools, I don't know if you saw, I clicked on that. So more tools right here. More Tools has a couple things. Document Toolbox, I'll hit on that. If you guys are like, hey, I always need flyers and this and that for my clients for whatever reason, Document Toolbox, where you go. Say you want something on 1031 exchanges. Just type in 1031. I have 4 flyers right there on 1031s. Okay. Say you want something in there on probate, right? I have stuff on probate. Okay. Let's see if I have divorce in there. Whoops.
Spelled wrong, because you're probably not involved in divorce.
Right. Nothing on divorce. But you can mess with that. It's a big database of nothing but flyers. Okay.
Good one to have in there, because there's a lot of those people.
Yeah, there is, but you got to remember is we're building stuff based on types of transactions and things like that. And divorce is technically just a standardized transaction. It really starts before the process. And so that's probably why we don't have stuff in there on that. And then we have information on different counties in here, right? LA County, San Diego County, Riverside County that are specifics. So feel free to mess around and look at that. Real estate forms right here. You may need a quit claim or an interspousal or something like that for your client. You just pop in here, start typing what you need. So you have your quit claim right there. You have interspousal right there, things like that. They're workable documents. They're downloadable documents. They're blank. You can type right into them, things like that. Okay. All this is in More Tools. The other thing, market snapshot. I showed you a market snapshot for the farm. You could just go straight to market snapshot right here. You could build it from a live map. Live maps are basically communities we've already established. Okay. So think of, where are you from? What area? Palmdale. He's from right here in Fallbrook. So you could go to Live Map and watch. If I go to Live Map and I go in here and I type, well, you'll see these maps right here, right? It pinpoints where we're at, but you'll see these maps. If I went in here and typed in Palmdale and I hit enter, there may or may not be live maps. You have to wait for them to populate. But gradually, as we go in and pull farms, we'll go in and build community farms. So if I go back to that map real quick where it pinpoints me, these highlights are actual communities, established communities. So the community has a name, right? So Normal Heights, Avenue, Riverside Colony, right? So I could literally go through and say, hey, I just want to see like which ones are what. So I could click on it and it'll tell me that subdivision has 1,074 properties. It's 70% owner occupied. It's 4.56% turn rate in the last 12 months. So if I don't know where I want to farm, I go in and start looking at live maps and I can very easily see where properties are selling. Okay. So that would be one way of looking at the live map. And then market snapshot, I could build a polygon, meaning select an address, build a polygon around it, just like you do in the MLS, and do a market snapshot. I showed you how to do that. Or I could do it based on a zip code. Okay. So that would be market snapshot. QR codes and links. We're going to cover this because it's different than any QR code system you've ever used. I guarantee it. There's not a QR code system out there right now that I know of or that my IT department knows of that allows you to build a QR code and change the destination of the QR code ongoing. Why is that important? Well, because I can show you how you can generate leads. You get a listing, okay? You have a sign topper made that says scan me for info with a QR code. If you build that QR code anywhere else, as soon as that house sells, QR code's obsolete. With my system, it's not. You could reuse that QR code over and over and over. You just change where you want it directed to and what you want it directed to. More importantly, I'm going to show you how to capture the leads, okay? So I'm just going to use my site in here because I already have it here. So, well, let me go back. I'll show you how to build a QR code real quick. Up here, new QR code. Also, if you don't want to direct them anywhere, let's say you're doing an open house and you're doing a raffle and you just want to capture their data, kind of like a sign in at an open house. And you're like, well, I don't have a PDF ready, so I'm not going to direct them to a PDF of the home. I would always direct them to my website, to the exact property, okay, first. But let's say you do that separate and you're just trying to capture something for something else. We give you the opportunity to build a destination page as well. It's just a landing page where you could type in, thank you, a thank you message or what have you. We allow you to build that as well. But new QR code, you plug in your link right here. So HTTPS, semicolon, I'll put in my website. Okay. And creates the QR code. Okay. I could download it, view it, whatever. I'm going to close it out. It now is right here. Okay. I'm going to open it up. I could view my destination. Tells me it goes to my website, right? Let me go back to my QR code. I can edit the destination. I can say I don't want it to go to my website. I want it to go to gowpnow.com. I can change it. QR code does not change. It remains the same. It's just the directed link changes. Now you can reuse the QR code over and over. Okay. I'm going to show you why that's important here in a second. I could download the QR code right here. I could print it on a flyer, which is just basically a one page with a big QR code on it and the name. Okay. And then I can view contact list. I'm going to show you why that's important. Right up here in the upper left-hand corner, right there. If I toggle that on, I now have told the system to ask for their information before they view the destination. Okay. i.e. sign topper, scan me for info, QR code, right? That QR code directs to your website, to the exact property at 123 Main Street. Okay. So when no more leaving flyer stands on the post where they get wet and they get sunbeat, you just put a QR code up there and you reuse it over and over and over. Now, if you view the landing page right here, I'm going to always change this name right here because that looks horrible. Okay. I'm going to click right here, edit. It's untitled. I'm going to put scan me for property info. Okay. I'm going to rename it. Now it says scan me for property info. If I view the landing page, this is what the landing page looks like, where I'm going to ask them for their info. But I don't want all this stuff on there. So I'm going to go back and edit the landing page right underneath it. I'm going to say I want first name and last name required. Company name is optional. I'm going to say don't include company name. Email is required. Phone number is required or optional. We'll say it's required right now. Address, I'm going to say not include. We put address in there. Now, you may want to add something else like, give me information on your property type of thing. You can add custom field right here as well. Okay. So I'm going to save this. Now it looks like this. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. If anybody wants to try it out, scan the QR code. Okay. You can scan it with your phone. It's going to pop up and ask you for your information. If one of you could do it in the room right now for me and put your information in, I want to be able to show you what happens with that info. Okay. So again, if I downloaded this QR code and this was directing to my website, to the property, I put it on a sign topper, I put it up, somebody drives by, they scan it in their car. It's going to ask them for the info. Well, they're more likely to give it to you because they want information on that particular property, right? And it may not be scan me for info. It may be like, scan me for, whatever. It could be like 2.9% financing available. It could be something like that. Why? Because if it was a FHA loan, it's assumable. If it was a VA loan, it's assumable, right? It could be things like that even. And then once you do that and I capture your data, right? Okay. It'll let you go to my website. Now down here in contact list, I captured you. Okay. Now you put in your email, phone number and everything, but right here, it just shows me email and date. But I export that list into a CSV file. It tells me your name, first and last name, your email, your phone number, everything that I asked for. And it also tells me the date and time that you scanned it. Now, we've taken that even one step further, okay? So if I go back to it and I click on it, over here, you can click on notifications. If you want to be notified every time somebody scans that and gives you their information immediately, you can put in up to 2 email addresses and it will send you an email as soon as somebody scans that information and it'll send you their info. Okay. So think outside the box with this. We're giving you the ability to remove sign-ins from your open houses, right? Now they scan in and you capture them. We've given you the ability to capture leads, right? We've given you the ability to market yourself. Why? Now you could build a QR code. You could go in, put all your information, which is a digital business card. And now you could build a QR code, put that on your business card. You could put it on the back of your phone so they can scan it. You can do whatever you want with it. And you could go in and alter it whenever you want. Okay. So get creative with the QR code is what I'm getting at. We've spent a lot of time on this and a lot of, more importantly, time making it compliant with SB 133 for us to be able to offer it to you. So it's there, use it. Okay. Yep. I will go back to that at the end. The question was, can I show you how to sign up for Title Advantage? We'll cover that at the end for those of you that joined on late. Okay. I've covered about 40% of what the system will do. There's still a lot it will do. We don't have time today to go through that. I'm going to let you guys play with it. Okay. So with that said, let me stop sharing and reshare. So I can show you where to go to get it. Hold on. Let me close off on that. Let me open this up. Okay. Now let me go back and share again. Perfect. Share. All right. You guys should see the presentation right here. That's where you go. TommyForTitle.com takes you to my site. Bottom left-hand corner, click on sign up, fill out the form. It goes to me. I'll approve it. You'll have access. Okay. Once you do that, you're going to want to also download the app for your mobile app or your tablet. And again, CTC Mobile, that's what it looks like. You download that one. You log in with the same username and password, case sensitive. Simple. Okay. I'll open it up for any questions that anybody has. If you're like, can it do this? Or you have capability of doing that? I'll answer those. If you want to know how to do something, I will answer those. I'm going to stop the recording though right now, just so that it doesn't linger on for anybody that wants to watch the replay. And if anybody watched the replay and you guys want information on anything that it could do or how to do it, just reach out to me. Again, when you log into your portal, my information's there. So if you want to know how to contact me, go to TommyForTitle.com. It's there. Okay. You guys will always sign in at Tommy for Title. It'll open up to that homepage and sign in. It'll store your phone, your login for you on most of your computers. So it makes it easy. But ultimately that's what you guys will do. Okay.